Aloha, and welcome to the Murph's Place 808 for the Love of Golf podcast. I'm your host, Murph. We have a special guest today, not in the studio, however. He's about 45
4,000 miles?
How many? 4,000?
Well, yeah, 45, 4. Pretty close.
Yeah, somewhere around 4,500 miles away. It's Mr. Patrick Norton, better known as Norty.
Hey now.
How you doing, Norty?
Good, brother. How you doing, Murph?
I'm good. Hey, thanks for joining me on the podcast today. I know last week you and me and Brian Contini did a little podcast, and by an technical error, that show got deleted. So here we are again to recap, redo the podcast.
The best gift to any listener out there. If you would have heard last week, you probably would have already been bailed by now.
Yeah.
It was our mulligan.
This is the mulligan.
It was our mulligan. We needed a breakfast ball for the last one.
That's right. So how are things in St. Louis?
St. Louis, well,
you're actually outside of St. Louis, right?
A little bit outside, so not in the city. Brian's in the city, but first of all, thank you for having me. Appreciate getting together with you and talking a little shit about the game of golf. So first and foremost, thank you.
Oh, yeah, no, thank you.
I appreciate that. So in St. Louis, everything's good. Obviously, COVID, we were kind of lucky. I would say in the last 10 years of playing golf, like recreationally, I may have played the most rounds I've played in any given summer, let's call it like 5 or 6. And it's terrible to admit that, but as much as I love the game, just didn't play a lot.
Right. Was that because of work or?
Yeah, I played a little bit. It's going to sound silly. Anybody that knows me will laugh at this, but I played a little bit in college, not a long time. But in Ohio, you think about playing spring and fall golf. You're playing 18 holes. I'm 28 years old at the time. My playing partners are 18 years old. They can wax me, and we're getting snowed out of golf tournaments. And I looked at Kevin Kitchen and I said, "Kitch, can I just coach? Like I can't handle this anymore."
Yeah.
But it's funny. It's the you think about. We love the game so much. And you look at like tour players and you're like, man, wouldn't that be like a dream job just to go out and play golf every day? And then you actually think about playing golf every day. And some of those guys probably hate that grind.
Yeah. I'm sure there's probably some that aren't looking forward every single day to playing. They may want to do something else, but that's how they make their living.
That's right. Like some of them do for a career, which is different. Like think about the guy. Like I guess the guy I'm probably thinking about is the guy who isn't on tour. The guy's trying to grind on a sub PGA Tour league, or it used to be like Nike League, Hooters League, whatever it is now. But like I guess the point is, I played so much that I almost lost the love for the game, and I'm finding it again. And so this year probably got me back into golf, like for the love, the spirit of the game, because you get lost in that grind. And it's so silly to think back on, because I would love nothing more to just be back in college playing. Like how pitiful. Oh, we're playing 36 holes a day in 30-degree weather. Boo-hoo. You get in reality and you're like, oh shit, I got to work and provide for my family. So long story short, to answer your question, I apologize. This year has been awesome because COVID in St. Louis has been very beneficial for that reason. Meaning the city of St. Louis shut everything down.
Right.
And the county that I live in did not. And for whatever reason, we were kind of recipients of that. Like, but we're talking, you had to get tee time like 14 days in advance for something like muni courses.
Right.
We're not talking Shawnee Country Club, Muirfield, these elite tracks. Like we're talking Tamarack, the Oaks, like these style of golf courses. You had to get, because everybody in the city of St. Louis that big of a population all came out to the county to play because it's wide open.
Right, right. And, they did the same thing here. All the courses were closed on Oahu, but there was a couple military courses open, but you couldn't get a tee time. It was so packed. Not only that, but you have to have an ID to get on the base. So if the general public without an ID couldn't get on to play. But even so, there was still, you could not get a tee time. It was crazy. Now, since then, everything's open back up here now as far as the golf courses go. And it was
the first time in my life that I played a round of golf that took like 6 hours. Like, you were literally waiting on every tee shot, every hole. And traditionally, that would infuriate me.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, even we all played in scrambles where it's going to be slow. We get it. Whatever. Take another shot. But just to go out there and play golf, traditionally, I would be like, oh, I can't handle it. Like, get me out of here.
Yeah,
you're so happy to be out there.
Yeah, because I'm not I like to play quick. I like to play quick.
I do too.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a big believer in quick golf. But think about it. Nobody can go, literally, you were scared to go to the grocery store. Nobody can go anywhere in this entire city. And by the grace of God, the golf courses stayed open. They did it well. Every person had their own cart. I mean, think about that. Like, a golf course, to have to give a cart to every person like that, they're not making money on that.
Oh no.
And the course is getting beat up with the cart traffic, but you waited on every hole and you didn't care.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause it was good just to be out there playing. Yeah.
That's exactly right. Like, it didn't matter. Like, you would have those moments, like you would be on hole 3, cause traditionally you're not used to that. So maybe the second and third hole, you're like, oh man, it creeps into your mind, like the slow play. And then you like have that reality going, holy shit, this is awesome.
Yeah, right.
Where are we going? Where do we have to be?
Right.
Nowhere.
No, it didn't matter.
Nowhere.
Right.
It didn't. For the first time ever, like I got an appreciation. So that's kind of the grand scheme of the story is I kind of got rejuvenated for the game of golf, kind of ironically through COVID, because it was the only thing that we could do here. And I thank God that they allowed it to happen, because a lot of people didn't have that blessing. Obviously, you were one of them, and it kind of got me back in the game.
Yeah, I mean, they had shut everything down here, and I talked to a couple of other guys that I've had on the show, and we said that it's ridiculous because it's one of the safest places to be playing golf out in the open, single carts. And you're right, the golf courses they're making money as far as getting more play, but they're not making the money on the carts since everybody's got to take one themselves. But what they started doing here was they started charging you more for the cart.
Yeah, they started doing that here. They got smart. The funny thing is most golf courses don't have enough carts.
Oh no, they were running out.
To have, right. So we play at this little local course here. Funny story, quick story. Ryan and I played together, and his fiance and my wife came out, and his fiance is kind of starting to take the game up. So she's getting into it. She's excited about it. My wife will ride over the green. Like, if she was in the golf cart.
Yeah, but wait a minute. Isn't her like brother or something a real good golfer?
Yeah, Doug's a PGA Tour professional, like a teaching pro, but played in Kiowa Island. So he played in a major tournament. What was it, 5 years ago? Like he qualified for the PGA at Kiowa, a major golf tournament. Rory won it.
But she doesn't know anything about golf.
She will just drive right over the tee box. Like, she's just waving at the geese over there. Yeah, Murph, I'm not shitting you. Like, I'm like, what are you doing? So I take her out there. So I'm not shitting you. So Brian and I had this brilliant idea to take these girls out there. Andrew is banging balls at the range. Brian's like, well, she'll meet us out there. She's banging balls at the range. I'm like, all right, this is great. And we get to the tee box, and my wife and I are in the same cart, and Brian, is right behind us in the starter. God love him. I mean, this is like COVID, like, to the extreme. Like, this is just when it's happening. And this poor guy, he could have been maybe a year under 110. And he looks at us and he goes, you guys can't be in the same cart. And I was kind of, I honestly, I always try to be disrespectful. I didn't really kind of understand what he was saying. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, nobody can ride in the same car. I was like, no, she's not playing. I really didn't even think about what he was really trying to like say. And he goes, yeah, no two people can be in the same car for COVID. And I looked at him and I kind of feel like an asshole. I said, sir, I sleep with her every night. And he looked at me like I was a moron. But I'm not shooting you. Like, he just looked at me like, it doesn't matter. You guys, like, they were just trying to play by the rules because you can look, that golf course this year has probably made more money than they've ever made in the last 10 years. And this is a Muni. This is not a golf course that there's 20 golf courses around. This isn't your first pick.
Right.
This is the closest pick. It's a good track. You would love it, but they were just trying to do the right thing. And I didn't, I kind of felt like a dick afterwards. And I'm not kidding you. They got another cart and Rachel drove over every tee box and every green all the way around. Oh my
God. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. You guys are in the same hole. What they said here for us was, and what the rule is still right now is, if you're in the same household, you can ride together.
They did that later on afterward. Now you can ride wide open. But at the time, I mean, like I said, it's not their fault. Nobody knew what to do.
Yeah.
Like, nobody. They were just happy. Like, the entire population of St. Louis. So St. Louis City, like, so it's different than, like, when you think about Columbus or some of these big metros, like right. Indiana or Indianapolis. Like, in St. Louis, people live there. Like, the entire city of St. Louis, like, it's very heavily populated with, like, people that actually live in St. Louis.
Right.
It's not like it's all downtown and people all live in suburbs. Like, it's kind of opposite. Like, people actually live inside the city. So the entire, like, I would say 80% of St. Louis can't play golf because of the COVID law, because they regulate it by city and then do county. We just happen to be, like, literally on the outskirts of that regulation.
Right.
So everybody wanted, so there, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it was funny, but yeah, it was a blessing that we got to play. It was 6-hour rounds. It was my wife driving over tee boxes and greens. we had a ball, but they were just trying to stay alive. I mean, they just wanted to stay open. They didn't want the city to come in and say, hey, look, you've got 2 people in a cart. You're
right.
shut down. At the time, that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
Just shutting every business down.
Yeah. So let me back up for a minute. So When did you start playing golf?
Yeah, great question. I would say 10 years old. I think I went to St. Gerard and we had I don't know, I wouldn't call it a career day, but kind of something similar. And Rob Contini came out to St. Gerard and
Rob was the pro at Hawthorne Hills, correct? Right.
Correct. Yep. Correct. So, and Rob, ironically enough, as close as Brian and I know he's on the podcast, Brian and I are great friends. Brian and I are 9 years apart. His sister and I went to school together. I didn't really know the game of golf. My dad didn't play sports. I was the oldest boy. My cousin Brian Golding played golf. So I kind of had a little, I looked up to him. He was kind of my big brother. I knew golf a little bit because he was really good, but I never really had any taste of it. It wasn't like my dad and I would go play golf.
Right.
So Rob came to this career day. He brought a couple of wedges. I think they were plastic balls. Remember those old white wiffle balls?
Yeah.
Like with all the holes in them?
Yeah. He
brought them, and it's wild to even think about this. It's a great question because I've never really thought about this. It was on a career day on the lawn on Main Street in Lima, Ohio at St. Gerard School that I probably swung my first golf club.
And so, did you start playing after that? I mean, was it a regular thing that you started doing, or did you ever take any lessons from a pro or anything?
All right. So 2 parts. So I got a set of golf clubs from my cousin Brian. So they cut down a set of golf clubs for me because I was all 3 foot tall then. and I'll never forget this. So we lived out in Bath. So we had probably like 3/4 of an acre. So you had neighbors, but you didn't have them. Like you weren't right on top of each other. And I'll never forget this. It was a mallet putter. Like, so think about, I'm trying to think of a good brand. Give me a mallet putter like back in the day.
Back in the day?
Like
didn't Cleveland have a mallet putter back in the day?
Yeah, I mean, could have been like, all right. So I'm thinking of square face and then just round with a big ass, like a big body on it, and that was my driver, my pitching wedge, my 3-iron. Like it was everything. That's all I had.
A putter.
So I would literally sit. Yeah, it was a putter. I mean, this thing was beat up from here to no end. Like that's what I had, and I would go in the backyard of my parents' house, and all day long, I would just hit that putter. I would have tees. That thing was honestly, it's funny. If there's one part of my game that I have any clue with, or that might be give or take, but it's my wedge game. It's because I grew up in that backyard with a damn putter forever, because you can only hit it 30 yards. So to answer your question, that's kind of where it started. And then I got a job at Hawthorne at 12 years old. So a little bit after Rob came to that, career fair.
Right.
My cousin Brian worked out there. We lived out there. Rob was a part of St. Gerard's community. So I got a job, bag boy, taking the clubs from the parking lot into the cart. And that's when I got my first set of golf clubs to actually kind of play the game. It was the inside 9 at Hawthorne. But the lessons part of it, I've only had one lesson, and it was at Hawthorne. Like it was like a junior golf program. It was Phil Black. You remember Phil Black at all?
Yeah. Yep. I remember Phil.
I mean, Phil spent more time on the driving range. Like he's got a bunch of 9-year-olds out there that can't hit the ball any further than their Peter. And Phil Black was like a carnival ride. He would be the guy he would hold the golf ball in his mouth and then swing and then spit it out and hit it.
Yeah.
This is what he's getting paid to do. Like that was my lesson. Like I never had, and if anybody that's listening to this, and Murph, you can attest, if anybody's seen my golf swing and I gave somebody's name other than Phil Black that gave me a golf lesson, you would be like, who in the hell?
Yeah.
Like paid, like who did you pay for that golf? Like my golf swing looks like a slow motion car accident. And usually the golf result is not far from it.
Yeah, but hey, it doesn't matter about the swing. You still play good. So,
I will never be accused of having a very sexy swing.
No.
I'll never forget Tom Bader. We were at Swing Right, and this is back like in high school, where now I'm on the range at Swing Right, and I'm looking down the stalls, and you've got Doug Wade, Andy Mauck, Andy Miller, all these guys that are just elite golfers in Lima. And Tom, I love Tom to death. He's done a lot for me. He's done a lot for Lima golf. He looked over at me and he goes, Norton, you will never, ever have swing rhythm, will you? And as he says it, I just shank one right into the wood divider, and the ball hits the wood divider and then jumps up into the lights above. Yeah, I've never been more humiliated in my entire life. That range that range made a lot of Lima golfers good, because if you went to that range, you better believe that everybody's all sitting back watching you. You're going to get made fun of. Like, it wasn't made fun of probably, but
yeah,
everybody's going to rib. Like,
they're going to rib you.
There are more Lima golfers. I'll put this on the book. If you ask the greatest Lima golfers that really truly grew up in Lima and went to Swing Right, they would not tell you that they got better by, let me put this better. They got better at golf because of Swing Right golf range. Yeah. And it was everybody there, all the schools, like you had Shawnee, LCC, Elida, all like the primetime schools, and everybody was there. Right. And when you're banging balls, like, we spent hours. Like I'll never forget. Like we lived in Bath, so like 20 minutes away. Like we'd have to get right, but we would stay all day long. Like kids would go to the swimming pool, they go to camp. Like we would spend, but I'm telling you what, your ass was getting razzed at that place. Like that. The most elite golfers that ever came out of Lima will tell you stories about making it on that driving range.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in that.
Well, in our alma mater, LCC, we both went to Lima Central Catholic. A lot of good golfers came out of that school.
Some of the best in Lima.
Yeah. I mean, I never played in high school. I didn't pick the game up until
my mind, by the way.
I was 26 or 27.
All right, so let's go there for a minute. All right, we'll track back to LCC because there definitely is like a dynasty there. I would never consider myself. I would be the guy that killed the dynasty.
No.
Let me ask you this: like, you of all people, in as much of the game that you've taken on and how much you love about it, and anybody listening to this episode has obviously listened to the first 5 or 6 or whatever. It blows my mind that you did not play golf before the age you played it. It's wild to me.
I don't know. I just never, I always played basketball, baseball. I only played 1 year of football in high school, and that was, I was second string quarterback, and I don't know. I was more interested in playing basketball and baseball than I was
But your
football.
dad didn't like Pat didn't play.
No, my dad didn't play.
Neither did mine.
He played, he had a set of clubs, and it's funny because so my dad would play, like when we went to New York for vacation one time, me, my dad, and my brother, we all played. My dad is right-handed. He golfs left-handed. My brother is left-handed. He golfs right-handed.
I think the moral of this story is I'm privileged enough to know your dad and your brother. Those boys are backwards as shit to begin with.
That's correct. They are.
Like, how fitting is that?
I know. I was the only right one. I'm right-handed and I golf right-handed.
I mean, that is fitting. I'll not, like, this is a side story, but I went to Florida 1 year, and this everybody listening, hanging with me. I went to Florida, and your dad came down with John Daly. We're talking, they were 80 plus years old, and your dad shows up to Siesta Key Beach in jeans with no shirt on.
He would never wear shorts. I don't think I ever saw him in shorts.
With jeans. It's 915 degrees, and he walks on that beach with jeans and just no shirt, and he was ready to take every woman home. Love it. Anyways, carry on. I got a little. I can't pass that story yet, but
I know.
But you took the game up of golf for what? Like, what got you into the game? Like, what was?
My stepdad, he asked me, at the time I was playing softball, and my stepdad asked me if I wanted to be his partner in the Lima Electric Golf League at Springbrook. So I was like, yeah, I'll play.
Did you even have clubs? Like,
no, I didn't have clubs. I went out and I bought a set of Arnold Palmer. I can't even remember the model number. It was the whole, you bought the whole set. And that came with a bag and everything. It was like $100 and some cheap. And so I played with those, and the first time I played, man, I was hooked. I was just like,
same.
I love this, man. I wasn't very good at it. I mean, I can't even tell you
what. Say that story. Like, I'm thinking right now out loud. The first time I ever played like a legitimate round of golf, it wasn't with my dad. You know who it was with?
Who?
My mom.
Really?
My mom played. Yeah, I'm thinking this like I'm in real time right now. This memory just popped into my mind. Inside 9, Hawthorne. My mom played in like a little ladies league, and she would take me out there, and I didn't play every hole, but I will never forget this memory. Now that it just came up, inside 9 on hole number 9, and I got up there and she let me hit, and I banged one like 65 yards, like, but I was on the screws, like, holy shit. Like, honestly, like, outside of the backyard with that putter, I never, like I said, my dad didn't play, your dad didn't play. Like, I had no access. Like, it wasn't like we didn't grow up on a golf course. My parents weren't golfers,
right.
we didn't, so to have the access to even go, the driving range wasn't close. It's funny you say that. I went with my mom on the inside 9, and she would let me tee off every few holes. And I'll never forget the feeling of hitting a drive for the first time and it was wide right by 100 yards, but you connected on one. You're like, oh my gosh, this game's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
that's where it started.
The first time I played, I was hooked, man. I was just like, and I'm me, I'm competitive by nature. And as soon as I was hooked, I was like, this is all I'm going to do. I tried to do both. I tried to play golf and I tried to still continue to play softball, but it was playing softball was messing up my golf swing. And so that I finished out that year and I just told the guys that I was playing with, hey, I'm done.
Did they dog you for it? Did any of those guys play golf?
A couple of them played golf, but they didn't play. They weren't into it like I was.
They probably gave you a bunch of shit.
Well, it wasn't so much they didn't give me a lot of shit. They would call me like every week, Murph, can you play a tournament this weekend? I'm like, I'm done playing softball. I'm not playing. And once I was done, I was done. I never played another game. They would call me every weekend. Hey, we got to come play the state tournament with us. I'm not playing. I'm done. I'm doing nothing but golf.
True to the golf game.
Yeah.
No shit.
That's all I did.
I remember. I don't know. I can't remember. I don't know if you will either. Like the first time we ever played a round of golf, I think it was at Lost Creek. So when we first met each other, you were working at the substation at Ray's.
Right.
I was bagging. I mean, I couldn't have been 16 years old. But Lost Creek at the time was probably private, or it might have been private, right? Lost Creek.
I don't know if it was private or if it was semi-private.
I bet it. It had to have been at least semi. But like Lost Creek at that day was like a track.
Yeah. It might have been private because I think I remember having a membership card.
I think I played with you. I think the first. I don't know if we'll ever remember this, but I think the first time I ever played with you, so you would have been, all right, so let me think of our ages anyways, we'll do some math here. I think one of my first rounds with you would have been on law, and at the time, I didn't realize that this is a sport you didn't play, because I'll give you a little love, as much as I want to give you shit. Like, you took to the game, granted, just like anybody coming into the game, some people kind of naturally can get it, and some people struggle.
Right.
You were blessed to not, like, you were athletic. Like, you picked the game up pretty fast. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would say I did. And you're right.
I think the game a lot easier to enjoy, because, as we all know, it's the most frustrating damn game in the world.
Oh yeah. Because
even today, as your sharpest game is never going to be, like you said it in your first podcast, like you can't beat it.
No, you can't.
You cannot.
You can't. Yeah. You can't. It's not a game like a game of solitaire where you can win that game. You can't win the game of golf. I mean,
I have to wonder if, like, that's what pros think too. Like, what do you think a playing pro, like, when you go out? I don't know. Forgive me for not knowing the exact tournament, but there was a guy this year, and he shot like 67, 65. The dude shoots 59, and then he follows up with a 64. And it happened to be one of these tournaments that Dustin Johnson just got hot. The guy shot a 59.
That's crazy.
And lost like 5 strokes. But, like, what do you, like, can you imagine the grind of playing? The guy probably shows up on Monday. This would probably be, like, for the bigger golf community. You show up to a golf course as a pro. You're there on Monday for a pro-am. You're doing some, sponsorship stuff. You're walking the course off, whether it's just your run-of-the-mill tournament. There's a lot of money on the line for the run-of-the-mill tournament. Like, you have to grind through all of that. Like yeah. What keeps you, like, is it the paycheck?
Yeah,
like, what do you think? Like what keeps Justin Thomas, like these guys don't need a paycheck. There has to be something that they go inside their mind for. Because, like like what is the motivation? I don't know. I guess it's weird to me.
You know, you brought this up last week when we were talking, but like when we were talking about competition and competitive golf, and you know that I play tournament golf here. Matter of fact, I have a tournament tomorrow morning.
You're gonna miss that too, Tom.
So when we were talking about this, and you were saying how you don't feel that way about how you play or how you feel about the game right now. And
yeah, I don't like to play so competitive where I lose the enjoyment of the actual game.
Right.
Because I'm not good enough.
So I'm like, in your point about the pros, do you think that they love the game like I love the game? Like I mean, I wish I was good enough to make a living playing it, but I don't think that would ever change how I feel about the game. Like, oh, I got to go play good so I can win this money. You know what I mean?
I think they like, look, I mean, to your point, these guys are getting paid a lot of money. If you make a cut, I mean, there's a ton of money out there.
Right.
But yeah, these guys are playing for the purity of the game. I guess what I find fascinating is it's not about the love of the game. It's about the grind when you're elite. So it's the difference between, let's say the guy that's the 300th ranked guy that Monday qualifies. All he wants to do is qualify. And if he can make a cut, he's making some money.
Yeah, he's going to make money. As long as all you got to do is make the cut.
That's right. But he's Monday qualifying. He has to shoot 62, 62, or Monday, I guess Monday qualifying, shoot 60. To just make the tournament. And if he doesn't make it, he's going to follow that tour all around and try to Monday qualify. Like that's the beauty of the game.
Yeah.
Like you have to be in love with it. Like, because you have to embrace, it's like a Marine mentality. Like you have to embrace the suck. Like there are guys that Monday qualify that shoot 63 on some of these golf courses that the pros don't shoot 63. Granted, it's a little bit more dressed up for the tournament, and they don't make the cut. They can't. They're getting in their car and they're going to the next tournament ahead of the tournament, and they're on that golf course trying to figure it out. So, long story short, the difference in that guy for the grind for the paycheck, and the difference between some of the elite guys that have more money, like I guess if I am Tiger Woods, maybe he's not the best example. If I am, I don't know.
Well, yeah,
I'm a middle, like the money. I have all the money in the world. Like there has to be some fire inside in that competition. You said earlier, they have to love the game. I guess the answer is they do love the game. But man, does it get boring? You think to them?
I don't know.
Like I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. That's what I was going to say. Do you think that if they are in a very what's the right word? If their financial situation is one where they don't have to worry a whole lot about whether or not they make a cut, are they
which is like the 10%?
Yeah, are they
top 10%, right?
Are they grinding as hard to make a cut?
Here's the scenario. All right, let's all, like everybody that's listening. So think about this: you're a PGA Tour player that is exempt. You don't have to worry about making the cut. Like you're a tour player. You've got a lot of wins. You're fine. You don't have to worry about status. If you play the first two rounds like shit, and like you're on Friday's round, the cut line is 2 under, and you're 2 over. Like, do you even give a shit?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You're not going to win it. Like, so the leader's at 10 under. Like, that's the weird thing to be like. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know. But
I think those
weird.
guys. I think those guys in the top, like maybe 10 spots of the tournament. I think they're really they care about it, because one putt could be a couple $100,000 depending on where they finish.
I agree.
Yeah.
But what if it's the guy that's
but a guy that's at the bottom, who knows?
Justin Thomas. Justin Thomas has to make 3 birdies coming in on Friday to make the cut. And the leaders are 12 strokes off. Like, in my heart of hearts, I like to think that dude's going to try to make the cut because he loves the game. He loves the competition.
Right.
But, like, do you think there are guys out on tour that are just like, all right, let me ask you this. Do you think there are PGA Tour pros that withdraw, just, like, say the cut's out of the line, like, they're just not going to make the cut, and they just don't want to be there? Like, they're not going to make the cut. They don't want to go through the whole bullshit. They just bail out.
So,
I got a back injury.
Okay, so that's you're like reading my mind, because this is a question I want to ask you, but let's take a break real quick, and when we come back, I wanted to finish the discussion of this topic, right, because I was going to ask you about that, about withdrawing from tournaments, but right, let's take a break and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everybody. Okay, so Norty, you had asked about withdrawing. If you think some of the pros that are down towards the bottom, they're not going to make the cut, or they're... Hey guys, I got to tell you, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me tell you how. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Not only that, but Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many other sites. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's ANCHOR.FM. Or, they're not going to they don't have a chance to win if they like withdraw with an injury when they really aren't injured. That's what you're asking, right?
Yeah, like just bail out.
So
like they have no desire to like hang in there and mess with it.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past somebody to do that. I don't know that they have.
Dude.
It has to have happened,
right?
Yeah.
Not they would ever, like, nobody would ever admit that. It's not like you PR wise, you can't say that. Like, you would get so much shit for that, but like in the heart of hearts.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You took a 12 on the hole. You're out of the tournament. You're like, all right, dude, I just want to bail out. I got my private jet in the parking lot. I want to go back to Jupiter, hang out with my wife. I'll regroup. You know what I mean? Like, I guarantee it happened.
Yeah. Well, let me say this. Do you think that, and it doesn't even have to be towards the end of a tournament or making a cut, do you think that a pro, he shoots 82 the first day of the tournament, he knows he's probably not going to make the cut because that's 10 strokes over, right?
Let's 10 strokes over par. The leaders the cut might be 4 under. You could be way over 10 strokes to get back to the cut. But yeah, go ahead.
And maybe he thinks he's already out of it, and so he withdraws with an injury. And I'm doing air quotes right now.
Yeah, I mean,
do you think that happens?
There's no doubt. And I can't recite like it's happening. All right, so there's a difference between withdrawing, and it's funny how a lot of guys withdraw after a huge number, or to your point, one round is just way out there. You're like, look, what people don't probably consider or realize, these guys are just like us. Like, yeah, they are human beings. Hopefully my boss is not listening to this, but there are times where you're like, all right, I've got that meeting coming up. I got this going on. I might need to bail on this. It's life.
Right.
Like, now,
so
do I think it happens? Yes. I would think it would happen more, not bailing, but bailing on the round, like going high. Like, they just don't give a shit.
You don't think that they would... So have you ever, let me ask you this, have you ever withdrawn from a tournament where you weren't going to make a cut and you just bailed?
No. But my it's different because I never played in tournament. Like, when I played in college, even in high school, no, here's why. When I played in college and I played in high school, I played on a team. So I owed it to the other 4 golfers or 5 golfers, whether you're playing 4 to take 5, 5 to take 6. No. Honestly, it was the worst feeling in the world. I wanted to quit, Murph. I played in the state golf tournament in my senior year of golf. So I was privileged enough to play on LCC's golf team. And I should have been cut my freshman year. And my uncle was the coach. So I might have got a free pass, but I had to earn my starting spot as a senior. So all 3 years I played JV up to my senior year. And
right.
Even as a senior, I had to compete against my first cousin, Troy Golding, better golfer.
He's a really good golfer.
Actually, one of the best out of Lima. He was a freshman, and I competed against Brendan and Kevin O'Neill at the same time. But Matt Taylor was our coach, and so we had sectionals, districts, and state. So we won sectionals, and I was on that 5-man guy. I won the spot. Taylor made us qualify, and I don't blame him for it because he knew I wasn't the best golfer. So he made us qualify for sectionals or for districts. I qualified. I beat those 3 guys, and we won districts, and we go to state, and we're playing on Scarlet, and we had to qualify. I was the only guy that had to qualify. Top 4 were the top 4. Mike Garlock, Mitch Blackburn, Pat Dugan, Mulcahy, Brian Mulcahy. They didn't have to qualify. They were our top 4. I had to qualify. So I'm going to tell you this full circle. So I had to qualify every time. Here's why. I shot the highest score in the OHSAA tournament. I wasn't the worst there. But if you looked at the leaderboard, I was at the bottom. But when I was on 14 and I was putting for 7, it was deflating. My parents were there, my girlfriend, my brothers. It was defeating. But I never gave up because I owed it to the other guys. You never know what other team. I mean, we're going to throw 1 round out. You think it's going to be your round. You can't think that mentality.
Right.
So, big picture, a PGA Tour pro is playing for themselves. When
right.
you're in golf, like I'm embarrassed by my scores. I earned it. I learned a lot about competition. I love that kind of part of it, but it didn't. I'm not the most competitive guy, as you know, but I earned my right to be there. And did I have the worst golf score in our entire golf team? Yeah, I did.
And it got thrown out, so it doesn't matter.
But here's the deal. I couldn't think that on hole 12
right.
when I'm 8 over.
Right.
Because I don't know what any of those guys are doing.
Yeah, you don't know what those guys are doing, and they could have been playing worse than you. So,
can I salvage an 89? Can I salvage a 90? At the time, that's what you're thinking because you don't know what the other team's doing. So I couldn't let the guys down that I was playing with. Matter of fact, I think one of those days we took one of my ugly scores. But it was about the team. So that's the only reason I would argue that a tour player bailing, it's just them.
Right.
They're the only. Actually, it's not just them. They're bailing on their caddy. I don't know how a tour player could bail and look at their caddy, but
yeah, because those guys are counting on them, right? The caddies are counting on the guy to play well. That's how they make their money.
I would think this happens probably in the elite, like top 20% of golfers. I think this happens probably more than we would like to think. Yeah, these guys, the guys that are making a ton of money that have no worries about status, yeah, I think they can bail.
Yeah,
but
I'm sure they have.
Is, do you disqualify yourself? That doesn't actually happen very often. Like, I can't think, like, actually, one of the most famous guys for doing is Tiger. And the knock on Tiger, my brother Zachary Norton, hates Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
There's Tiger guys and there are a lot of Phil guys. I happen to be a Tiger guy. And Zach's argument when he was in that part of his career where he would bail out of tournaments for injury, he would do it after he had no shot. He probably shouldn't have been there to begin with.
Right.
My brother's argument is like, yeah, he takes an 8 and then all of a sudden he's out. Yeah, does that fit the narrative? In my heart of hearts, maybe I'm a little more naive because I'm a Tiger guy, but at the end of the day, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
was Tiger bailing? Maybe. I don't know. I mean,
yeah,
Tiger, but
you're not going to know for sure with these guys.
I wouldn't doubt it if he said it. Like if Tiger were on this podcast right now, he'd be like, boy, yeah, I need to get the hell. Like, are you kidding me? Yeah, keep me the hell out of it.
Yeah.
Like, let me regroup. Like, I don't know if I blame him.
There's only been one time where I've withdrew from a tournament, and I didn't want to, but so we play the U.S. Senior Open Championship qualifier over here, and we play it. Normally, it's at Hawakale Golf Course. It's Ernie Els design, private course, great course, excellent shape. It's got over 120 bunkers on this course. They're all over the place. But
so kind of like Tamarack.
Yeah. The first time I played, I shot 76, and the qualifying score that won was 72. But I did shoot low. I was low amateur, so I got a USGA silver medal. But
oh yeah, man.
So I'm playing again, and you have to walk because it's a pro tournament, right? And so,
do you have a caddy? Are you
yeah, you can have a caddy. You can have a caddy, and they can ride. And my caddy did ride. But so I'm playing. I'm walking.
What was her name?
No, him. I'm walking, and this was before I had my knee replacement. So I'm walking and
I mean, you are old.
I am old.
We're talking senior tour. Like, I mean,
hey,
what happened?
Slow down. The PGA Senior.
Do you have that suction cup on the back of your putter where, like, when
no,
you
I don't.
in, like,
No. I actually I can still bend down and pick the ball up out of the hole.
Carry on.
Asshole. But I wasn't playing great this other tournament, not that one, but the qualifier again. It was like 2 or 3 years later, and I wasn't playing good, and my knee was killing me, and I wanted to quit and withdraw because I just couldn't walk anymore. My knee hurt so bad.
It was a physical, like, deficiency. Like,
yeah,
it literally hurt.
Yeah, it was killing me.
That's different.
And
did you quit that?
Well, I tried to tough it out because I shot a couple of high scores, and I didn't want to withdraw, and then for those guys to think that I was withdrawing because I was playing bad. So
yeah, there's an ego thing there.
Huh?
There's an ego thing there, like,
yeah.
Like,
Plus, I just didn't want to withdraw. I'm not a quitter. I'm not even. It doesn't matter how bad I play.
That.
And so, we get to hole 12, and we play the hole, and I birdie it, and then I just tell the guys, I'm done. I can't walk anymore. I got to withdraw. And at least, you know what I mean. So I withdrew after I had a birdie on a hole. I didn't. It wasn't a high number.
Do you feel guilt? Like, do you feel? In the whole course of what we're talking, like, do you feel guilty for that? Like, do you feel?
I didn't feel guilty. I felt disappointed. I felt disappointed.
All right.
I felt disappointed that I couldn't tough it out for 6 more holes. But I didn't want to leave them the impression that I was withdrawing because I was playing bad, because that had nothing to do with it.
That's what I think. Like, think about the tour pros. Like, you can't, like, it's not about, like, letting people, like, it's the media is going to jump your ass.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, can you imagine, like, if you, like, how many times have we played on a Sunday Skins game or the Father Her Saturday morning at 7:00 in the morning, and you've had a couple red deaths at Murph's bar before, and you're like, I do not want to go. And you look at your phone, and you're like, well, I'm going to attempt 2 things right now. It's either a DUI to get to the golf course, or I let my playing partners down. It's not about the $50 you paid to the Father Her Memorial.
Right.
It's about the looking your partners in the face 2 days later and going, yeah, I didn't.
Sorry, guys.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like, I'm with you. I think the tour guys probably feel, like, that's what baffles me is not the right word, but how these guys can play. I can't play a Nintendo game. Like, if I was going to play Tiger Woods 2020 right now on PlayStation, and they're going to simulate the real thing, after the first round, I don't want to play that round again. Like, I'm done with that golf course. Like, get me on. Like, these guys, like, honestly, like, I know they love it, and granted, there's the element of they're getting paid. It's a different grind, man.
Yeah.
And to your point, that the whole point is like when you have a bad day or you have a good day, like I think it's even harder to have 4 good days.
Oh, it's
how
crazy.
they tap into this unbelievable. Like it,
dude.
We might have talked about this off the record, but like the most important. So all these tour guys have a entourage, right? I think we talked about this offline, but all these guys have their agents, obviously for their commercial sponsorships and all that stuff, which is a big part of how they get paid. They have their swing coach, huge part of how they get paid. They have their caddy, huge part of how they get paid. The most important guy that haven't, and a trainer, huge part of how they get fit to get like the game. Like look at the top 10 golfers, and it's not a DeChambeau comment, but look at the top 10 golfers physically today, and then reverse 20 years ago, and you're going to look at Lee Trevino, Arnie, Jack. Like these guys are all like sitting there smoking cigs and cranking beers. Like, so the trainer is your 4th guy. The most important guy, I think, to all of what's going on right now, I'm a firm believer in this, is the guy I haven't mentioned. It's their psychologist, their sports psychologist. Every one of the 4 guys that have a career, obviously some of the younger guys that aren't there yet, maybe either can't afford one, but literally, like these guys are splitting hairs of the 1%. Like when everybody says this is the 1% of golf, it's actually like 0.001, and that's where you're splitting hairs. But their sports psychologist is the one that's helping them win golf. Like Jack talks about it, like it's that killer mentality. Like I've never had it. Like I'm my hands are shaking when you and I play for $10 and I got a 7-foot putt. I'm 3-jacking. Like I can't do it. Like these guys want that putt. They want, like Mitch Blackburn. I think about Mitch all the time. Like he wanted to be, and then not just Mitch, a lot of guys, but like, do you want that putt? Like, all right, we're in a 4-man scramble. We have 100. All right, let me make it more realistic. We're a 4-man scramble. We're on Colonial at 18. Everybody in the tournament that has played, there's 50 groups out there. Last putt, we have a putt as a 4-man scramble to make $5,000. Do you want the last putt?
Yes. I want the last putt. I'm going to get to first
weird,
off.
Dude.
I'm going to get to see 3. I'm going to get to see 3.
I agree.
Other guys' putts. So yeah, I want to putt last.
I don't want that. I hate to admit this, like, because I like that. I like the little pressure, but I fold. And I can't wait to high five everybody afterwards. Hey, you so missed. I missed so much by 5 feet. Like, let's have a beer. Like, I'll make it the greatest day of my life that I missed the fucking $10,000 putt. I want nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I don't.
That is terrible.
It's not terrible.
In my life, but I hate it, Murph.
No, it's
Murph,
not.
I hate it.
Yeah, but it's not terrible. It doesn't make you any worse of a golfer, dude. You got game.
What am I afraid of, though? Am I afraid of failing? I don't know what I'm afraid of.
That's what I think
Clearly,
it is.
I have no idea. Yeah, I think it is, too.
I think it's the fear
but
of
I've never
failing.
been good enough to, like, win. Like, that's the irony of this. Like, all right, so you can be afraid of failing, but you have to kind of be good enough to win. Like, otherwise, why would you be afraid to fail? Like, if you can't win, failing is just kind of there.
You're good enough to win. What's the lowest score you've ever shot?
I did it with Chad Daly and my uncle. So this asterisk, so anybody that's listening that knows this golf course, it was at Cherokee at Indian Lake. My lowest round ever, 68 at Cherokee, which is kind of like a par 64. And
no, Cherokee is not that easy.
Cherokee's driver wedge, pretty much every hole. Anyways, I shot 68, and the cool part of the story though is I'm on 17. 17 is that real. It's probably the longest par 5 on the golf course. A lot of guys can't get there too. I mean, some of you like big drivers can, but like the average guy can't get there too. And I clearly couldn't. And I chipped in from like 90 yards. So I'm going into 70. This is the first round I've ever broken 70 on. So not only was my lowest round ever, it was the first round ever.
Okay.
So now it's in my mind.
All right, but so that right there proves that you're good enough to win.
All right. I don't know about win. Like I can hang, but like I had to chip in for eagle on 17 from 60 yards out, and then I chipped in on 18 for another eagle to go 68. So could I have birdied one of I've shot under par a couple times. It's not very common for me.
Right.
Do I have game? Like, yeah, but you know what I enjoy more than anything though? Like Brian and I have this argument, and you and I would probably argue about this. Like, you have the passion for competition. I still do. Like, if I'm playing you, we're gonna put a $5 wager front, or 5-5-5.
Right.
Like, I'm not like not trying to win, but I also don't want the competition to for lack, I don't know what word I'm
overshadow.
I don't want to take over. Yeah, like the beauty of the game, like or my actually not the beauty, my enjoyment for it. I don't want to be that good because there's like a pressure to be good. Like, look, if I'm going to go out and play you, and if we have to handicap it up, like if you're a tour player, and like I'm going to give you a handicap, and I'm going to play my heart out. But I don't need to win. Like, I want to win, but it doesn't define that round.
Yeah.
Like
well, no,
I want to have fun. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, because I'll give you an example, and it just happened to me recently. My buddy here, Dan Messner, he played the World Amateur Handicap Championship tournament in Myrtle Beach last month. And matter of fact, I'm going with him next year. I played it one time before, but I haven't played it for quite some time. But I'm going to go back next year with him.
But this is a tournament, like this is a legit ass tournament. Like you're playing a tournament.
Yeah, there's 6,000 golfers, 6,000 golfers from all over the world, and you're flighted in your handicap. You're flighted in a group, and then you're only playing against those guys in that group. And if you win, you play Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. In my opinion, it's the best tournament around. $500. You play Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If you win your flight on Thursday, you're the winner. You play on Friday for the main championship, and that one is handicapped. So
all the flights come together. You're all handicapped together.
Correct. So my buddy Dan, he won the tournament. He won his flight on Thursday. He had a hole-in-one on 17 to end up winning by 2 strokes. And I think he was down. I think he was down 3 strokes going into the day. But
so are you stroke play the whole time?
Yeah.
Or are you match play after?
No. So stroke play the whole time. Stroke play.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he aced it on 17 on his last qualifying round.
On his last day, on Thursday.
Wow.
He was going into the day. I think he was 3 strokes behind the leader.
He was in the hunt.
Yeah, he was tied for second. There was 3 of them in second place, and yeah, he hit a hole-in-one on 17 and then he ended up winning the tournament by his flight by 2 strokes. Now he didn't.
But, all right, so he had to go to Friday and play against everybody else handicap, but he won his flight. What did that pay him?
I think he said.
Not that that matters. But.
Yeah, I think he got a gift card to the PGA Superstore, and I can't remember what he said, how much it was.
Like $100, like squirty worm.
I think it was more. No, I think it was more than $100 though. But anyhow, the point.
Oh shit! It cost you $300 to fly there.
But the point of this is what I'm trying to say is, he's a good golfer, and he is my main competition when we play the VGA Tour because we're both on the in the senior flight, senior A flight. So. He's my main competition, and
do you like that?
Do I like what?
Well, not to digress. Like, I want you to tell your story, but like, let's go back to like having like a villain, like a Tiger versus Phil, having something like that's it gets you going a little bit.
It not so much me, but this is the point of the story. He beat me. We had a tournament on the Big Island last month at Makalei, and like every 3 holes or every hole, there's like 3 peacocks on every hole. It's crazy. They got turkeys and pigs running around. But anyhow, we're playing this tournament.
Huh? Where you guys playing in Hawaii or Delta?
Yeah, no, it's in Hawaii. And so, but we played this tournament at Makale, and he beats me. And he happened to pick us up from the airport, me and a buddy that flew over. And so we're riding with him, and we're going to the restaurant to eat, and he keeps asking me, Murph, you want to hold my medal? Murph, you want to hold my medal? Because he felt it was such a great thing to beat me, which...
That's pretty cool, though.
Well, it is, but I told him, I said, dude, I'm horrible, so I don't... You beat me, but I'm horrible.
So he thinks like beating you to him...
is like beating Tiger Woods.
Right, and to you to beat him, you don't come up to that level. Like, you're like, yeah, it's not a big deal.
No, I mean, I wouldn't. To me, it doesn't matter.
You still want to beat the guy.
I still want to win, but if I lose, I'm good with losing. I'm not a sore loser. I don't like it. I'm going to learn from it, you know. But for him, it was like he beat Tiger Woods, and I thought that was kind of cool that he thinks of me like that. But I mean, he's a great guy. I love the guy. And like I said, I'm going to the tournament next year with him. But so we have a tournament tomorrow, and
like here.
So there's a point system. And so we were tied going into last week into the tournament at Waikele, and I ended up winning. And, so then that pushed me ahead of him in points for the Armed Services Cup, which is played at, Greenbrier.
But let me ask you this. Don't you get juiced because, all right, so you may not by yourself think of him, obviously it's like your competition, but when he beats you, it's like a milestone, for lack of a better word. But the more that you play against him, he might not be your guy. Like you may be playing the course, there may be another guy out there, a different flight guy, whatever. But the more he makes it about you, go ahead.
No, of what it is him now, because
it isn't.
He's the world he's the world amateur handicap championship champion.
I guess that's my point. That's my point.
Yeah.
But he's made it. So I guess my point is he's made it so much now about how much it means to him to beat you. Here's a guy that might not have been on your radar to begin with, but now all of a sudden it means that much for him to beat you, and you're going, all right, dog. Let's play.
Yeah, like that's what I told him. Right? I told him that. I told him that last.
Now there's something in you, but you wouldn't have thought that before. So if you don't know this guy, even if you play with him all the time, he's a guy that beats you and just walks off the golf course. Like gets his award, you don't even know him from Adam. Like you know him to play. He's not a social dude. He's just a quiet guy. Takes his award, leaves. You're kind of like, all right, whatever. Like, but the fact that like it means so much to him, like now it has to be like kind of intrinsic in you. Like you're like, okay,
yeah,
all right. You know, like it kind of gives you a little. I think that's the
it gets me
question
like
I was going to propose.
It gets me. Yeah, it gets me.
Do you think? All right, that's my question. Do you think every person? So think of the greatest sports figures in what they do. This is a question you probably have heard before. They propose this all the time. Do you think the Michael Jordan, the Tiger Woods, Pete Sampras, or Nadal, like these guys, Messi, all the literally the 1%ers of their sport, do you think they would be the way they are without their Robin? That meant to the Robin. So Tiger had to have Phil. All these guys like Sampras, these guys had to have Agassi, or Nadal had to have. I'm not a tennis guy, so forgive me, but
McEnroe and Borg.
Well, yeah. Well, actually,
Bjorn Borg, John McEnroe.
It's not Nadal. It's who's my man? It's Sampras, but who's the greatest? Who's the tennis player?
Boris Becker.
It's not. No. It's like this generation tennis. It's not a doll. It's
Pete Sampras.
No, everybody listening to this podcast is just joking.
Yeah, like, they're playing. They're probably saying you two are stupid.
Anyway, I'll get back there. I'll find it. I'll Google it. Hey, Rachel, would you Google that please for me? Anyways, my point is, do you think that
Rachel's in bed?
Yeah, she's been in bed 9 years ago. But my point is, a lot of people would argue, like Jordan, all these guys, all these elite Tiger, they had to have somebody kind of creeping up on them.
I don't know. I don't
pull out their great game. Do you buy into that theory?
No.
Do you hear what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I know what you're saying, but I don't think that
you have to have somebody like your guy Dan to kind of rejuvenate. Like, 'cause otherwise, it's too fucking easy. Like, Tiger's just out there fucking winning. Like, he has to have somebody artificially in his mind.
I don't think so. I think Tiger's an exception to the norm. I think
there's something there.
I think that he wanted to be the best.
He just wants to win at all costs.
And that's what he did back in the day.
It's an interesting theory though. Like,
but I don't think that's what pushes Tiger.
Well, think about what you just said though. Like, think about your story with Dan. Like, here's a guy that thinks about winning against you to be like the Mecca, right? Which, what an idiot.
Yeah, what an idiot.
But hear me out. Like, that's what he's playing. So when he's in a tournament with you, he's playing against you. When you're in a tournament with him, you're really not playing against him until all of a sudden, old Dan starts beating you, kind of puts it on you at the old award ceremony, and you're like, all right, motherfucker. Like, I'm playing against you. Like, I think it's no different than bailing out of a tournament early. These guys have to find ways in their mind. Like, if you were what is the motivation for Tiger Woods? Like, clearly dominance.
Oh, he won. Yeah, dominance.
But think about, like, so Brian Cantina has I'll propose this bet or propose this thought for the listeners. I bet Brian Canty a couple weeks ago that Tiger Woods not only will win another tournament, that's $100 bet. I'm on Tiger winning. I bet another $100 on top of that he would win a major. And I am firm, but it's exactly what I'm talking about. This dude won't be out there unless he can win. He's got something in his mind that he's gonna have to compete against. Now he's not the greatest player right now.
No.
What do you think about those two things I just said? Because I kind of went sideways there.
I don't.
Do you think Tiger Woods will win a tournament, and do you think Tiger Woods would win a major in his career?
I think he will win another tournament.
No doubt about it.
Another major. How old is Tiger now?
I would guess him to be 44. Total guess. I mean, he can't be much older than that.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no on the major. 40. I mean, what major do you think he would win again? I know he won the Masters last year.
Here's why it doesn't matter.
What, it doesn't matter?
No. In my opinion, look, are there courses that would fit his game? Yeah, I'm not. We're going to go shambling. Like, I can't sit here and tell you that. I'm sure if Vegas, I guarantee you Vegas has the call on that. Like, is there a major that he's probably favored to win? Yeah, probably. Maybe the Masters.
I would think.
His game.
Yeah, I would think maybe he would be favored to win the Masters.
I would think if you had to pick of the four, yes. But, like, here's why I don't think it matters for Tiger Woods. The guy's good enough to play on the PGA Tour. The same guy that we just talked about earlier, the 300th ranked guy, can win a tournament. No different than Tiger. Tiger won the Masters, what was it, 3 years ago?
Last year, wasn't
it? 2 years ago? Last year? 2 years ago? Whatever. He won the Masters.
Yeah.
He's good enough to win a PGA Tour event. He's good enough to win a major tour event. Now, are these younger guys hot shit? Of course they are. Is Tiger what he was? No. But is Tiger good enough? Of course he is. So he has any shot. Back in the day, if you said Tiger versus the field, like, Tiger would have had worse odds if you just picked him. you had the entire field 15 years ago, and you have less odds against Tiger.
Those odds. You got to remember back then. You got to remember back then, though.
Dominant.
Yeah, those guys were going into tournaments knowing they were playing for second place.
I think he still has that mentality, and honestly, it's not about, mentality is good.
Do you think that players today have that mentality?
No, they don't care. No. Here's what I'm thinking. I think Tiger can. That's my whole point. This is exactly my point about this entire conversation. If Tiger can get himself in that mentality, he's got the game.
No, I disagree with that. His game is not what it was.
It certainly isn't what it was.
But here's my point,
mentally, though. All right.
No, I know what you're saying mentally. If he can get him in that spot, but
if he's playing golf,
he is not.
The dude can win.
Okay, but how much of that do you think back in the day was because of those other guys' mentality that we're playing for second place, Tigers in the tournament?
Do you think the guys he's playing against now are better than the guys he was playing against then?
Yeah. All right, everybody. That is going to conclude our first part of the interview with Pat Norton. We're going to continue this interview. I'll post the second part of it next week on Tuesday. So thank you all for listening to the show. We'll see you next time. Aloha.